It's poster time. How are you doing, everyone? Welcome to more of The Wall. August. Jeez, August already. So let's get into it. The first one, don't have a poster for, but who else saw this movie besides me? It was Bride Hard. Starting off this month, sadly, with the most nothing film I have seen in a while. Like, this movie is nothing. It's Bride Hard. And it's not, okay, so if you don't know what Bride Hard is, like, you look at this poster, right? You can already tell what kind of movie this is. It's all in the title, right? Bride Hard, like Die Hard. And it's just a bunch of bridesmaids in a remote location, and one of the bridesmaids is, a cop or a secret agent or whatever. And they go to a remote location wedding full of rich and powerful people. I want to give this movie something. Right, I want to give it something. I didn't want to just be like, this is a shit movie. Here's a shit movie. Congratulations, you got a shit movie. And I set the bar quite low. I was like, if you make me laugh, you get some points. I set it so low, and sometimes it cleared it. Yeah, sometimes I was having a laugh, but it was just sad to watch. That's as simple as that. It was sad to watch. I felt bad for this movie. As I was watching, I was like, oh, you're not even like trying anymore. And this could have been like ironically fun. Like, kind of tongue-in-cheek, just like, Netflix schlop. But your issue is there's too many characters. Like, there's too many just people on screen all the time. And they're all trying to get their one-liners in and be the funniest person in the room. Like, so they got all the characters hostage. And they're all just cracking jokes. And I'm like... And Rebel Wilson is the hero of the story, right? And there's something about her face trying to do a hero smolder. It just doesn't work. This movie feels like everyone is LARPing. It feels like everyone is just LARPing in this mansion. And because it's so, like, open, like, because it's just, like, one building and then, like, all the outside. Because it is more open, none of the action is tight or feels, like, well choreographed. With a lot of explosions to make up for the fact that there's not, like, it's just a bad cover-up, right? But to compare this to something that took the Die Hard formula and did a good job, it was Violent Night. I don't know if you saw it. It had Dave Harper as Santa Claus in it, right? In the same sort of scenario, it didn't break new ground, but it knew what it was doing. And again, because all the action was tight, because it was all in, like, one place, for the most part, besides your final act. Yeah, so Bride Hard does, like, the complete opposite. This movie's like a 2, maybe a 3. If it's on streaming, sure, but this is like empty calories, the movie. It was just myself and a lesbian couple in our theater. It looked like they seemed to enjoy it. They were laughing and having a great time. So maybe this movie just isn't for me, but also the cinema was completely empty, so maybe it wasn't, maybe not. I don't know. I actually put some posters up. Is that right? That looks right. Whatever. Who cares? Here it is, another one. Another Legacy sequel. This month, it's Freakier Friday. And I can confirm this movie is twice as freaky as the original. Look, I have sisters, growing up in the 2000s era. This version was, the one that came out like 2003, 2004. Was the version I grew up on. I watched a lot of it. I know there's like sequels and stuff. And I know there was like one in 2018. Ooh, looked kind of rough. Yeah, so this is like the version it was a staple in my house, right? And yeah, so nostalgia just does play like a little bit of a role here. I didn't love the original, but again, I watch it so often, I'm like, it must have been a good movie because I saw it a lot as a kid. But this movie is really good, actually. They could have shit out a copy and paste plot, pass down the torch and call it a day. But no, they evolve the story to reflect all the characters new and old. And it also like is a reflection of like the modern times and issues and stuff like that, right? And yes, this movie is full of references and member berries, but not enough to be distracting from the main story, which does take a while to get to. This movie does not get freaky until about like 20 minutes in, and it does drag its feet. But once it gets going, it's freaky all the way. In huge part, the reason why I do like this film is not Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis. She is an icon. Everyone else is here. And, Lindsay Lohan, the cast of the younger girl characters, everyone else is doing a good job. They're not like doing a bad job. Everyone else is doing a passable job, But Jamie Lee Curtis, she is just up here. She's just up here, just acting circles around all of them. And it was the only reason this movie had any emotional weight to it at all. It did get surprisingly in the field at some point, And again, her comedy is just very funny. Spoilers, once she swaps bodies and Jamie Lee Curtis is now playing a teenager trapped inside her body, it may be low-hanging fruit, but Jamie Lee Curtis complaining about being old while acting like a teenager, it just works. The only comedy that didn't work, in my opinion, was the slang humor. And it will sadly date this movie quite poorly, saying stuff like lit and boomer, but got over it quickly enough. So besides some, like, soon-to-be outdated slang and a slow start, the film was honestly a fun time. Girly movie for sure, but honestly like an 8 out of 10. So side note, I was admiring, Jamie Lee Curtis's acting. Like how juxtaposition she is from, if you've seen The Bear, to this one. Yeah, she's playing mum characters, but they're two very different mum characters. Anyway, so I was like, oh my God, she's doing such a great job. And my partner leans over to me and she goes, Jamie Lee Curtis has great tits. And I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, just a fun little story I thought I'd share with you. Freaky Friday's good. Take your mums, go see it. It's a pretty good time. Wow. Is this the horror film of the year? No, it's not. Man, there's something about this film that actually really messed with me a little bit. Not in like a horror sense, but in like a what am I watching sense. But is this movie fun and unexpected? Yeah. This one I highly recommend. And yes, annoyingly, you do have to go kind of in blind. Because yes, the trailers suck. Before seeing this, I was not remotely interested in this at all. I thought this movie would flop hard. But again, the unexpectedness of this movie is its strength. This is your last chance to go see it before I talk big spoilers. This movie, to me, is hilarious. It's almost like a dark comedy funny. It's not intended to be funny. It's a little bit uneasy, but it's funny, right? But that is my take, right? This movie is kind of, very funny in like a disturbing kind of way. And, in my opinion, this movie also has the best ending set piece in all movies that I've seen this year. And I actually do kind of mean that. Just, it's not the most elaborate in the world, but like in terms of impact and how the camera shot, and this movie is shot brilliantly, by the way, behind the head tracking shots to walking through corridors and stuff. Maybe a little bit too much, but it's still like really well paced, and you get to your final act and the witch is hauling ass out this neighborhood, and while like a bunch of 7th graders are just like gunning her down, just smashing up houses, and just like a flood, like a stampede of 10-year-olds, and it's great, it's lovely, it's fucking awesome. And then obviously they start eating her, and that's a bit gross, but I was impressed, but I was also laughing. Like, I know people who've come out the cinema and they're white as a ghost saying that movie was so scary. And I just don't see it. I think the plot of this movie is a bit too complicated for what it is trying to tell, and it drags a bit too much in the middle. And although I love the cop and the drug addict's performances on screen, they actually worked well. Like, I loved them as the character. Their overall importance to the plot, maybe in like a subtextual way, it's quite important. It didn't feel necessary to the overall story. They were just like a roadblock for the final act. They were fun characters, but again, I was like, do we really need to spend 20 minutes just on how they got into the house? And then they end up dying anyway, so it's like, and maybe it is just like his style of films. Like, this guy also directed Barbarian. But yeah, there was something in there that I was just missing. And I left the theater not disappointed, but not satisfied. I don't know. Again, it could be the inconsistent tone. It could be I felt some characters didn't fully connect to the overall plot. Something was just off, right? And again, that's just my opinion. But let me know what you think, because I know this movie did pop off and people are enjoying it, and I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, but for me, it's like a 7 out of 10. Not a boring film, and worth a ticket for that final chase alone, essentially. All right, it's War 2, baby. It's Bollywood time, and this one I got to experience in 4DX. So for those of you who don't know, it's an enhanced experience where the seats move in sync with like the movie. So it's like a little like roller coaster-esque thing. You know, if there's a car crash, you're jolted around. There is like I want to say like little pins, like a massage pin that like, you know, so when it's synced up to a fight, your fight scenes, a man gets punched in the ribs and you know feel it in the back, right? There's also water, like either coming from the ceiling to like synchronize with like rain, or coming out to synchronize other moments in the film. War 2 with this gimmick did make me enjoy this film more as a result. So just so you guys are aware, that's how I watched this film. That's how I got to enjoy this film. Not enough for me to watch the first war, but you really do not need to. Like, there's barely any big connection to the first film. And fun fact, this is part of the Spy series of films. So I accidentally stumbled into Bollywood Marvel films. There's like 3 or 4 different franchises, and they're all like connecting into each other to make, this like spy universe essentially. And War 2 is everything my little boy brain could want. It's got over the top set pieces from something like Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible. I don't want to spoil this movie because it is dumb fun, but there's a boat hybrid chase scene. They fight with samurai swords on top of planes inside of ice fortresses, and they're trying to infiltrate and stop the Illuminati from a global takeover. Again, it's written by like a 13-year-old boy. I love it. Sprinkle a bit of homoerotic undertone between our hero and the villain, and they have some banging music. You have a fun nonsense movie. This is pure insanity, and honestly, without my enhanced experience being spat at or rained on and shaken about, I would still recommend this movie. It's just fun. Maybe a bit long. Bollywoods are just like that. Also, having flashbacks to them as a kid is almost 20 minutes long, so it's maybe like the slowest point in the film. But the rest of the movie is a ride the whole way through. I'm giving it like a 9 out of 10. I'm a tad, again, biased, so maybe bring it down to like an 8. But kindly recommend. You know, this is actually a very fun Bollywood film. All right, I'm gonna take down this poster. Nobody besides me saw Nobody 2, and the reason is that it's unnecessary. I have not seen the first one, but this one, oh boy, the plot is confusing. Our main character is like is in a life of crime, and has affected his personal life, his marriage, and stuff like that. So they decided to take a vacation, you know, and the plot should be a simple balancing act, but it's just not that. The moment the action picks up, they ditch the conflict or completely resolve it in like one scene, and it's really, really, really jarring and silly. And the chemistry is wooden as hell. The wife is like a one-liner machine, so she's off screen, and she's got like a sniper, and she snipes the bad guy from, you know, however far away, and it's not shocking. It's not a shocking twist. You knew it was going to happen. And the bad guy goes, "Who the hell is she?" And then the wife goes, "I'm his better half," and then shoots him. It's so lame, and like she's got like several more of those, which is, again, they're all just lame. And there's something off about this film too. It feels like this movie had a cheaper budget, or maybe it was like meant for a Netflix release. Happy Gilmore 2s and like a bunch of those films. I feel like this was like, oh, we took a film that people liked in cinemas and we just made like a cheaper version of it. Because it doesn't feel like a cinema level film. And yes, there is fun moments. The Home Alone amusement park scene towards the end where they put a claymore in a ball pit gave me just a visual, the idea of it being there as a visual laugh. But besides that, the action felt lacking. Not everything needs to be a perfect cinema. It does have some turn your brain off moments. Its benefit, it is short. So maybe this type of movie it's the kind of movie that just starts and finishes. You know, this movie is like a 4 out of 10, almost mid, which is the worst thing a movie could be. And because it is short, you kind of can get over it pretty quick. Your mum will probably like this movie. Your mum will probably be like, "Oh, you should watch. Have you seen Nobody 2 yet? This is good." All right, and Life of Chuck is what we saw next. Okay, so off rip, this is not like a movie for everyone. Most films rarely are, but this one is in particular one I both found enjoyable and I honestly loved it, but can admit that this is the wrong media for this story. It's gorgeous, it's impactful, it has a lot to say. All the characters give it like amazing performances, but this film would have worked much better as a stage production, like a stage play. Let me explain. This movie is set in like 3 acts of like the life of Chuck. I don't know how much I want to spoil, but the first act is like this moving dystopia where the world as we know it is coming to an end, and how people are dealing with like how it's going to end. The second part is like an emotional random act of inspiration to dance and break social rules, because you never know when things are gonna, end, essentially. And the last part is a coming of age story about a boy finding his place in the world and how to deal with the grief and the idea of death. And all these parts woven together in this movie almost work. It almost works. I think it's a little bit jarring while in the moment watching it, even though the story isn't the most complicated. Like, it's easy to follow along. Having so many different people and locations change made it hard for me to connect on a level that I wanted to. I think if it was a stage play, I think it would have been easier, because there's no screen between you and the actor, if that makes sense. The movie is great, and I was moved. When you get to the ending, it is something that will stick with you. Even now, like 3 weeks later, I think about it, I'm like, wow, that was very poignant and moving. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe have you seen this movie? Do you think it would be better as a stage play? I think that's my personal take. But yeah, it's like an 8 or a 9, but you do have to be in the mood to watch it. And maybe your third act is a little bit longer than the rest of them. All right, let me put some more posters up. Hold up. Back to unnecessary sequel time. It's been too many new movies. So let's talk about an unnecessary sequel. This victim is Naked Gun. Is it good? Is it good? I don't know. I wanted to like this movie more than I did. I love the originals. I love Airplane. I love Police Squad. I've seen all the movies before this, like, just because that's just what I grew up on. But how frantic and quick-witted they are. If you miss a joke or it doesn't land, don't worry. There's like 10 more. Like, they just rapid fire the jokes at you, and you never, even if they don't land, they have moments, right? They all feel like Looney Tunes episodes. And this film almost does that. It has sparks of potential, and there are moments I was laughing and having a great time, but it loses steam quite quick. The format of jokes feels like you have seen it in other films before. The silhouette misunderstanding gag from Austin Powers, I want to say 2, is one that comes to mind. But the new jokes and gags stand out, switching your main character mid-sentence to a completely different person, or improvised jazz fight scenes. Did get a good laugh as well. The music is very sarcastic. I want to say almost like noir. It is funny for the tone. If you have seen Family Guy, you know the orchestral sting those TV shows have. Like, it has like the da-da-da-da-da-da, like between scenes and like just in like emotional moments, and I'm like, the music is a little bit distracting, but it could be funny depending on how you look at it. I think I'm like a little bit annoyed by it. It's just more distracting than it is funny. This movie ticks so many boxes. Again, there's a snowman like montage fight scene in the middle of it, just out of nowhere. And again, they're all very funny moments, but for me, maybe one too many poop jokes and bits that I had seen in other films, which like Frankenstein together. When it's good, it's good. And all the new jokes are fun, but maybe this is like a 6, maybe a 7 if you love the original films. But I would say you'd probably enjoy this more if you haven't seen the original films, so you don't have a reference. I don't know. That's my opinion. If you haven't seen the originals, watch this one, then watch the originals, and then you can like probably still say this one's bad, but at least for a time you can say that this one was really good. But it's good. I didn't hate this movie. I just didn't love it. All right. Next one. Get down from here, Mr. The Gun. Hell to the yeah. So, Primitive War. Now we are talking. This is the most dude bro film I have seen in cinema. And not like a Pulp Fiction dude bro. I'm talking like a Monster Trucks and WWE. This film has dinosaurs set in the Vietnam War, and it actually shows them off, instead of like the Jaws thing of implied fear. This is all out Dinosaur Island. This movie is B-grade bargain bin plot. The acting is solid, with questionable accents, particularly the Russians and the Vietnamese accents. Hit or miss, but it's very fun, right? But this movie is fun and stupid. It takes itself all the way serious, which is great. You open the movie in the Vietnam War on a helicopter while Fortune Son plays. I'm not even kidding. I'm gushing over this movie. $7 million is all it took to make this movie, and this is all I want in a dinosaur film. This is all dinosaur films should be. Screw trying to take itself completely serious, camp it the fuck up, and have fun with it. I'm looking at you, Jurassic Park, man. Jurassic Park made me so mad. Be dumb. So how did dinosaurs get to Vietnam in the 60s or the 70s? Was your answer the Russians, a country that was not even involved in the war? Correct. And is it explained to us by a morphine-addicted Russian woman scientist that is never wrong? How they revived the prehistoric lizard? Did you say by accident? Then correct. When using nuclear material, they accidentally created time travel. I legit cheered when I knew it was going to be a dumb reveal, but this is the stupidest and most fantastic and amazing, and I'm in love. I love this film. Again, it's very boy film coded, and yeah, towards the end the budget does drop off a little bit in the CGI, but that makes me love it even more. You can see the restraints, and you can see the strings, and you can see like where it was good and where they kind of ran out of money, and that's very fun and that's awesome, and they just put all the money in the right places because this movie is great. I love it. It's not perfect. It does have flaws, but the drama is good. The drama parts are fun. You care for the people that are there. I mean, I don't fully care because, it's a Vietnam dinosaur time travel story. Don't care that much about the characters, but I still care about them. You know what I mean? I'm in this like weird world where I do care, but I don't care. The creator it looks like this creator, like the director, was also the sound designer and the CGI guy and like 4 or 5 other things when you're looking at the credits. And again, that makes me love it even more. I'm a sucker for what it seems like a passion project. And again, $7 million. They made like almost a 2-hour-long film for $7 million. Goofy war film, goofy dinosaur film that is leagues better than Jurassic Park. I'll fight anyone on that. All I needed to do for this movie is put them on a train, and I'm a happy guy. The ending. Oh my god, the ending where they superimpose real Vietnam War photos and videos with dinosaurs is amazing. Like, maybe a little bit insensitive, sure, but fuck, it is funny. Please, for the love of cinema, for the love of camp, go see this film. It's an easy 10 out of 10 on the recommendation scale. Especially if you felt disappointed by like Jurassic Park, please. Also, flashing light warning. I don't know why they didn't have one at the start, but there is a lot of lights and they do flash. But great film, love it. It's probably a personal 10 out of 10. It may be like a 7, 8, 9, depending on how much you like camp films. But for me personally, I loved it. It was great. All right, next one. Man, B-grade cinema is back. All of this, like, especially after Primitive War and this one as well, B-grade cinema might be back. I'm going to list off some films, and if you have seen them, you will enjoy this movie, right? So, Hobo with a Shotgun, Turbo Kid, Planet Terror, Man-Borg. Like, if you've seen any of those films, or you like if you know of that style, this movie is fun. This one, Toxic Avenger, is fun. It takes a lot of those, grindhousey comedy horror is 100% what this movie is. This movie is fun and dumb and gross and raw and messy. It feels like a kid throwing a plate of spaghetti was a film. Peter Dinklage is great as the hero, this like fucked up Hulk with acid piss. The humor is mean and sarcastic and real with like fun pauses to address dumb lines. The backflip guy was giving Benson Boone energy, which is great. This movie is like unapologetically dumb, which with like paper thin plot, but the action and hyper exaggerated violence is uncanny valley hilarious. Look, I recommend this film if you have seen like Hobo with a Shotgun or like Turbo Kid. If you've seen any of those films, you'll love this film. And again, those films are actually quite close to my heart. I don't really have much else to say about this movie. Yeah, you do see like penises, but you're watching it for like the action scenes and just like the how violent this film is. Yeah, you're feeding that little demon in you that's like, yeah, I want to see a guy explode, you know? That's what this movie is. It's great. It's fun. Highly recommend. It's like a 9 out of 10. The post-credit scene is also really, really stupid. I recommend it, but I only recommend it if you're fucked up like I am, if that makes sense. It might not be, you know, take your grandma to go see it. It might just be like watch it with the boys and have a beer or whatever. Or don't. I don't know if you don't drink. Whatever. Alright, last one. The stupidest one? Question mark? Eddington. Alright. So I watched Eddington so you didn't have to because you shouldn't. Where do I start? Fucking Eddington. Holy shit. Off rip. This film might be a film. I don't want to say this is the worst film I've seen this year. I want to say it's up there with like your Amelia Perez's and your Snow Whites. But this one was like 100% more engaging and 100% more frustrating to watch because there is parts that I loved and there's parts that I didn't love and there's parts that were confusing. And then there was parts that I was just like, oh, so you're wasting my time. This movie it feels directionless and borderline schizophrenic. And that is putting it lightly. There is like conspiracy theory babble throughout this entire film that turns into white noise. The genre of this movie, when you look it up, says Western comedy. And yes, it's like funny at times, but it's never like a full comedy. And I guess you can call it a Western because it's in a small town and has just sheriff. This movie makes me mad. Not in a I wasted my time way, but I'm in a confusing breadcrumb kind of way. Like I feel stupid for not understanding this movie, and that's frustrating. But I also think it's not good. Like I'm like, yeah, you're trying to say something, and I don't fully understand it, and maybe that's on me. But also, I don't think that if I didn't get it, I didn't get it because the movie was explaining it to me poorly. Not because I wasn't paying attention. So this movie takes place during COVID, right? 2020, it dates the movie kind of poorly as it tries to capture that moment and how chaotic and uncertain everything was. And it does a bad job. Introducing so many new moving parts of the story that go fucking nowhere. It's like 2.5 hours long. And it changes so unnaturally and so frequently. And again, it's frustrating because some parts were interesting and fun. And I wanted to explore more. And I tried to wait for a payoff that just was never going to come by the end. I had given up. So this movie is about Emma Stone jump scares. Joaquin Phoenix's cock and cuck. Conspiracies up the ass leading to a Antifa failed coup of the town. An assassination attempt of the mayor. And a laughable cover up by a COVID-riddled cop. And this movie feels like the Joker 2, the ending of the Joker 2 meets the ending of the Penguin. But I want to say, don't waste your time. Everyone uses light mode when they use Facebook and Instagram, which they show off a lot. All the extras are like not great, which is weird to say. All the extras are quite distracting from the film itself. And, you know, what normally is a fine shot just has an extra random sitting off to the side just going. And it's really goofy and really funny and maybe intentional, but like, it's not even like on a fun bad scale because this movie is so long. Pedro Pascal's barely in it. You know, it's confusing and it's weird. And when I talk about it, I somewhat convinced myself I enjoyed it, but when I actually watched it, I was frustrated, I was annoyed, and I didn't like it. After the fact, I think I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I Stockholm Syndrome myself into saying that, because I wasted 2.5 hours to watch it. I'm confused, I'm annoyed, but I'm not upset. This movie is like a 2 or a 1 or a 3. I don't know how. I don't want to recommend this movie because it is so long and it says so much, but really says nothing. This month was a confusing month for movies. I think I loved them overall. I don't think there was like a very bad film besides this one. and maybe Nobody 2, but the rest of them seem like I had a great time. Oh, and Brightheart. Yeah, I saw Brightheart too, didn't I? Look, besides those ones, there was a very, very fun variety of films in here that I enjoyed quite a lot. Alright, I want to say this has been The Wall, everyone. We do these every month. So until then, guys, thank you so much. Let me know if you've seen any of these films, and leave a little review down the bottom if you want to have a chat about it, because I am one of the people who saw Eddington, and if you are too, let me know what you thought, because maybe you loved it and I was wrong. That's okay. Alright, well, until then, guys, this has been The Wall. I want to say thank you. We do videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll see you next time. Alright, ciao, ciao, y'all. Bye-bye. The Wall.